What's up, guys? Average Kiwi Guy here. How y'all doing? So, just got back from Logan. Fantastic. Loved that film. It was so good. There is some problems. There is a little bit of problems, but I loved Wolverine as a character. And I've loved Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. It's been fantastic. Thank God we finally got a good Wolverine film. Thank God we finally got one. I mean, sometimes you can't even count the actual X-Men films. There are not many that are good. I guess his best so far would be Days of Futures Past, which is sad to say. Sad to say. But this is a non-spoilery review. We will do a spoilers video that I will put a link to, annotation all up here. So if you want spoilers, head over to that one. Non-spoilery right here. I'm not gonna spoil anything for you. The only stuff I will mention is stuff that we've seen in trailers, that we've seen, like, that we knew beforehand. That's it. That's it. And then we'll give my rating on it. So, Logan, my God, this movie was the best representation of Wolverine I have ever seen, in a movie sense. Because Logan is like, Wolverine has always been hampered by, I'm an X-Men, right? I am an X-Men. This is what I am. Logan shows you what a dude with indestructible claws and a bit of a rage problem can do. Like, there's no hiding it. There's no quick camera angles. There's no nothing. It's very brutal in places because of being R-rated. And it allows them to really explore, like, this is what happens. You know, this is what Wolverine is. He's a very, he's like, it's not a pretty sight sometimes. Basically take every one of your favorite Wolverine scenes, the Weapon X from Apocalypse, all the other ones, all the great fight scenes he's done throughout the year, throughout all these films he's done. Put it all in the movie, and that's pretty much what you see. Plus, with a lot more emotion to this movie. If you have an emotional attachment sort of to this Logan, to this, to Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, like, you're kind of sad to see him go, because this is his final movie as Logan. You will get a little bit choked up. It's not a crying movie. It's definitely not that, but you feel for those characters. Like, there are situations that happen that you feel for these characters, which is surprising, because you think a Wolverine film with with emotion, you get that, and you've seen it in the trailers with X-23. For those who don't know, X-23 is the a cloned daughter of Logan, of Wolverine. They take his DNA and they clone her from him to essentially make a better version of him, so they can use them against X-Men and stuff like that. But shit goes to hell and all the rest of it. This movie follows that in a sense. They do change stuff up, but it's very good to that storyline. And Daphne Keane, the little girl who played all through this, she was spot on. I think she was really good through this entire thing. She were, the whole, like, as you've seen in the trailer, she's mute, and she's mute for a lot of this film. But she still has this, sort of, like, rage scream that goes along well. And her fight scenes are fantastic. Amazing. And let's just say, she's got a bit of a hidden blade. There's a hidden blade somewhere, and it's pretty damn cool. It's pretty damn cool. She was spot on. I thoroughly enjoyed her, especially up with, being next to Hugh Jackman and freaking Patrick Stewart as well. Like, those two, they've held up X-Men for a long time, those two. So for her to be, to fit in well with these two was fantastic. They really were. It was really good. Hugh Jackman, I mean, what can you say? What can you say, man? The dude is Wolverine. He is Wolverine. He fits him to a T. You could not have anyone better to be Wolverine. And this is the conclusion to his story. I'm not gonna say how, like in this part of the review, but this is the conclusion. Um, and I mean, I'm very sad to see him go. I really am. I mean, he's at that age now where he can't quite pull this off anymore. Like the lighting and he can't buff up to like the ridiculous lengths that he does like all the time. But the dude was still ripped in this, man. He was still, if I can grow up to be like him, be like Hugh Jackman when I grow up, I'd be very happy man. I'd be a happy man to look like him. I swear. But I'm very sad to see him go. And he was great through this entire movie. There's a very big difference in this Logan than what you'll see in the other ones. I won't say what it is, but this Logan is very different in a good way, in a way that fits with the story and fits with what's happening. Do go and see it to see that, because it's a very realistic approach to where he would be at this point in his life. Essentially, it's very realistic. What would happen to him? Same with Patrick Stewart. I mean, Patrick Stewart, what can you say? The dude is a legend. The dude, whatever he does it well. He's Professor X to me, no matter what. You can bring in the new guy and do the young ones and all that. Patrick Stewart's Professor X to me. He was fantastic through this. He had, it's a bit of a conclusion for him as well. This storyline and all that. I don't know if he's going to come back and do some prequel stuff to this, but it was definitely he played a very interesting role through all this. And you can see the relationship between Logan and Charles through this movie. It's actually quite touching in places. It really is. It's actually it's a very much kind of a father-son relationship in places, which is very, very cool. It's very cool. And it shows how much Logan protects him. And you'll see that through the film. It's really fantastic. And he has a great relationship with X-23 as well. Those two, mingle quite well. Being that she's mute, but she can communicate through Charles because Charles can read her mind. So it's really good in that way. And they have some really nice scenes throughout the movie that I quite liked. The fight scenes were phenomenal. Remember, like I said, this isn't quite the Logan that we're used to. I will say that. So there is a bit of a flip sometimes in these fights. But basically, the bad guys are like cybernetic soldiers. Majority of the time, they're cybernetic soldiers. They've got, they're normal guys, but they've got like cybernetic like arms and legs and stuff. And they reminded me of, I mean, some of you guys might know this, but the Deus Ex Human Revolution, like that mercenary guys, the band of they felt like that. Because they're in the future. Is this? All right, just hang on a minute. In the 2029, yeah. All right. So we'll just redo the bad guys. We'll go off that. Because I mean, the bad guys in this film are like cybernetic soldiers, essentially. They're basically kind of like a band of mercenary kind of guys who work for this big what would you call it, science company. They're like a bioengineering company who's responsible for X-23 and all that. This was all in the thing, trailers and stuff. But that's who they work for, and they are very much like human Deus Ex kind of guys. They actually, the way their arms look and the way they fight and the way they look, because they got like this military look to them, but they got the cybernetics on them, is very cool. It's very cool. I mean, being in 2029, I mean, what's that? Oh, it's about, 12 years away, so I guess we could have cybernetic dudes with cybernetic arms by then, maybe. I mean, this world's different. I mean, we've had X-Men and everything, so that would increase technology pretty quick. But anyway, it is the bad guys in this film. They're not the greatest. They have their moments, and let's just say there is a bad guy. I'll call him a bad guy that has a very cool fight with Logan. Fights, I should say, with Logan. I won't say who they are. We'll wait, save that for the spoilers. But it is, I would want a little more out of the bad guys. I think that's put a little bit of the low. The main bad guy we see all the time is Boyd Holbrook. He's been in a few things. And he's kind of like the lead merc, right? He's like the captain, and he's like trying to track these guys down. Like, kind of like head of security, I guess you could say. And he's basically tracking them down and doing this stuff. And then it's a couple of other bad guys come in later on, like more of the head honcho type guys. And they're good at what they do for what this movie is, because essentially the plot is like, okay, we got to get from point A to point B within a certain amount of time, and we have bad guys chasing us. And every so often, the bad guys are going to catch up to us. That's kind of the plot in a sense. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot more depth, but that's kind of the way it goes. The bad guys kind of suit what they are for that storyline. But I don't see them as this big bad sort of organization. And they are. I mean, they are. There are reasons that they are. They are world-altering organization, essentially. So it is. It's hard to tell you guys without spoiling it, but it is. The bad guys do lack a little bit. Again, maybe that may be a Marvel thing and all the rest of it. It's a bit like Deadpool. I mean, like Deadpool, the bad guys weren't the greatest thing in the world. I mean, if it wasn't for Deadpool, the movie wouldn't have been as great, right? So, it has always been a problem with, X-Men, Marvel movies. The bad guys always lacked a little bit. Except for when Magneto is the bad guy. Which he wasn't in this one. Which was a bit sad. I was a bit sad not to see Magneto. I'll put that out there. But yeah, so the bad guys lacked a little bit, but they did look cool as heck. And there were some very cool moments, I'll say, in that. If you want to find out who the other bad guy is, I guess, look in the spoiler section when we go into it. But yeah, just overall, this film, it comes across as very much kind of a Western, like, it's got this sort of Western vibe to it. It's got this old school, raw, brutal feel, but with the emotion behind it too. There is a lot of emotion in this movie. Rage is a big one, but there's also this connection that you have, and like there's sadness at the end of this film. You will feel kind of sad at the end of this film, which I think it's a good thing. It is a good thing. Obviously, if you have no connection to any of this, and you maybe will go into it like, man, I don't really get what's going on. I don't know who these people are. I don't know what it is. I think you might not like it. But it is worth you seeing, worth your money, worth going and finding out. If you have any interest in like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine or anything like that, like maybe you watched like the first X-Men, but you haven't watched anything else, I would recommend you go and see it, because there isn't too much of a connection to the newer sort of prequel movies, the rewritten ones. In this, there's a character that is in from X-Men Apocalypse, but he's not really anything interesting. But yeah, so you can come into this with very limited amount of current X-Men movie like watching. You know, you don't have to watch them all, but if you've got any interest in, you know, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, you'll like this movie. You will. Like I said, it is gory. There is some gore in it. Like, dudes get their heads cut off. There is, you know, limbs go missing, guts get torn. You know, it is quite. They don't hide it in any way, but it's not over the top. It's not silly. It's not out of place. I'll say that. It's not out of place. It suits it because it is a Wolverine film. And it's done well. It's done fantastically well. I think it's really good. It's fantastic. People will probably compare this to Deadpool, which is probably rightfully so because Deadpool kind of paved the way for this with the R-rated, because if Deadpool bombed, being that it was an R-rated film and people didn't like it and people thought it was over the top, I don't think Logan would be this way. I really don't. I think it would have been a lot more toned down, and I think it would have ruined the film. It really would have. So we kind of have Deadpool to thank for this. Thing is, Deadpool had the comedy to kind of bridge that gap with people that maybe weren't so keen on that whole killing side of things. The funny parts, help that, build that up a little bit. This doesn't have that. This has an emotional side to it. This has a very much, they want to connect you to these characters things. Where Deadpool doesn't. Deadpool just wants you, to have a good time and to watch this dude, be Deadpool. You do have a connection with him, but it's more of a fun thing. Where this is, it's not it's serious, but it suits the movie. It suits the movie. But yeah, so comparing the two is very difficult because they are two different, but they are connected in ways. So it's a good thing. It is a good thing. But yeah, overall, yeah, fantastic film. Fantastic. I loved it. It was really cool. I'm going to see it again tomorrow with my family. I went with friends this time, so I'm off to see it with my family. They weren't sure about it until I told them about it, so they want to go off and see it too, so I get to watch it again. I don't mind. But yeah, so I would give this film, I'm going to give it a 9. I'll give it a 9. I gave Deadpool a 9 as well. Obviously I didn't do a review for it, but I've only just started doing this, but yeah, I gave it a 9 in my head, if anyone cared. So yeah, Logan, definitely a 9. It does have issues. There is issues through the film. It's not perfect in any way. I think other scores could go up and down, depending on how much of a connection you have with these characters. I love Wolverine. I've always loved Wolverine. He's been my favorite X-Men since I was a kid. I've dressed him up as him, like, for costume parties and Halloween and stuff. He was my X-Men dude, right? He was who I always loved watching. And Hugh Jackman made him come alive. So this film was great for me in that sense. It really was. And it was a great wrap-up of everything. It really was. So I gave it a 9. I wouldn't be surprised if you see others giving it maybe 8s and 7s. It just depends on how much of a connection you have with this film. Go out and see it. Go see for yourself. I think it's a fantastic film just to go and watch. Well worth your money. Well worth your time. Yeah, so go and see it. Go see what it's like. And then, yeah, then you'll know. Alright guys, that's it for us. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you to all the new subscribers, all the new viewers, the new likes, comments, dislikes, all of it. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. Very much appreciate it. If you do want to join us, hit that subscribe button. That way you'll know when new stuff comes up. We do have some new vids out. We've got my reactions to the latest Arrow, the CW series. Some big reveals in that one. Definitely got a new video out for that. Also for the Flash, and we'll have Star Wars Rebels up tomorrow or the next day. One of the two. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. The next one comes out. So yeah, we'll have a new vid up for that too. So hit that subscribe button. That way you'll know when the new stuff comes up. I'm also a Twitch streamer, so check us out, twitch.tv/AverageKiwiGuy. We do a whole bunch of different, we're a bit of a variety streamer. It's pretty much stream every weekday, so go check us out there. Hit that follow button, then you'll know when we go live. I am off to PAX East next week, flying all the way to Boston from New Zealand, so it's a pretty far flight, but super excited, can't wait. We will have content up for that. Love doing the convention content, so sweet, very happy about that. Also, we're Average Kiwi Guy on the socials, so Twitter, all that. Just search Average Kiwi Guy, you'll find us. You'll find us and hit the follows, hit the whatever the site asks you to do. Just follow us there, so that'd be awesome. And yeah, all right, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Peace.